So one of the very first thing that we did after putting the house in order, we did this digital culture and cultivate the corporate digital culture. When we embark on this power platform, one of the very common question that people ask is, why do I need digital? So we start educating our population to start measuring in terms of people's maturity level in terms of digital absorption. So we have people that say, okay, no, thank you. Don't give me a smartphone. Don't give me a smart device or tablet or whatever. I'm just happy with paper. Those are what we call digital resistor. They don't want a smartphone. They just want the old way of doing things. We call them the digital resistor. Then we have people who start playing the Office 365, doing a bit of little flow here and there. Yeah, we call it the digital explorer. Yeah. Then we have people who start making apps, start making BI, impacting a little team around them, 2 or 3 people, 5 people, right? Then we also have people who start evolving themselves to, okay, start impacting their business group, the business unit, bringing the digital solution. And then we have people who bring global change, global disruption to the entire product line, the entire division, right? So that's the highest level. We measure them based on these 6 points: how much value they create in terms of ROI, how compliant are they in terms of our processor, and then the technology adoption, how broad are they? Are they just a BI house, or they are able to do the entire Power Platform capability? Innovation and continuous improvement is also the stress in terms of how we push measure the maturity of the digital capability. Training and culture is also include training and evolution of people's career path. And between the group also, we measure them, especially those transformer and beyond. We also want to measure how well are they in terms of sustainability of their solution. Is there DevOps capabilities within the group to maintain the apps, right, rather than just an individual. So my biggest challenge is beside the culture stuff is time, right? So most of the time people come to me and say, no thanks, Alan, I know you meant well, but I just don't have the time, too busy. I'm happy with how I do things, right? So that's when I show them this slide, and that's when they start to realize that, what is that tool logo? I have no idea, right? So all they know is Excel. They're doing their job with Excel, but they have no idea what this tool is. But they can see that, hey, this is circular. I'm dragging something with a square view, right? So perhaps something is, I have something that they should consider, right? So that is my message to most of my community is sometimes we have to stop and make time for ourselves to reskill and change our views, right? So in a large enterprise, if you ask me how do I provide guardrails or governance, there's 3 things that we do, right? I emulate the concept of how you run a restaurant. Okay? You go to a Michelin star restaurant, they're able to churn out the same dish and on the same quality every single time the customer walk in, right? How they do it is because they have a recipe, they have a way of cooking, right? So using the same thing, I need to, how do I ensure my 6,000 makers are able to produce digital apps, digital BIs, automation in the right way, a safe way, and without repeating the same mistakes that the early adopter has gone through, right? So we have this thing called digital playbook, which is what's the recipe, the digital recipe to do things right. So inside of playbook, we explain from how you should connect to the corporate data, how you should control the permission, what kind of a data privacy control you need to apply on your solution, before you can go live, and a lot more, right? How do you sustain the app after that, right? So because everybody build app, but then what if this app become viral and then you have changed job, you have rotated and do another role, like me, right? I'm changing role every 2-3 years. Who is going to maintain the 200 plus app that I created, right? So those kind of stuff, we have a certain governance and gut rule in the playbook explaining how to do things correctly, the right from the first time, right? So that's what's the recipe. Then second one is what's in the menu. You walk into a restaurant, you have a menu, they tell you what they can offer. The same thing for when you run a digital solution portfolio for your company. You need to have an app store, a digital store that explain uh, what's already out there, right? So if somebody come along and say, I have this great idea, I'm going to build this app, I will say, stop, we'll check the store. If there's already something similar to your idea, why not just join them, right? Join the same app or just pull the app and reuse it, right? So you don't have to reinvent the wheel, don't have to waste company resources to build the same thing 10 times, 20 times, right? For example, we have a very popular app, which is managing our vehicle fleet, right? A fleet of a vehicle that is going to the operation, to the field to do job. Every single country, every single base has a need for that. If I allow every single one in them to go build their own power apps to manage the vehicle, we're going to end up with thousands of apps doing the same thing, right? And the worst part is we have thousands of people going through the whole learning cycle to build the same app. I say, okay, why not just build one and let everybody download it and use it, right? So that is the whole idea of using a digital store to create visibility. And yes, this store was built in Power Apps itself, right? So why not we lead by example and use it that way? Yeah. And then we have this screenshot is a bit old now, it's 2019. We call it digital pipeline, right? So like running a restaurant, you need to know who is cooking what in the kitchen, right? So all these digital cells that I have across the world, I need to know who is cooking what solution right now, with the same idea of avoiding duplication, avoiding reinventing wheels by hundreds, thousands of people, potentially thousands of people having the same idea. So you need to know what is coming out and set the expectation of the business stakeholder to know that, hey, I want this, but this one is being cooked by somebody. It should be available in 2 weeks' time. So let's go on and wait for that. So again, it's important to have a great visibility. So this one is actually a Power BI.